Crabs in a bucket. Shrimpocalypse. This is it. This is the expansion pack. It is the exact same size as the base game, as you can see here. We wanted to make it the same size so that you could take the base game cards and you could put them inside of your Shrimpocalypse expansion pack so that you can feature your game with that cool new artwork. Let's take a look at the back. It's going to have some spoilers as to what's included in this expansion, but there it is over there. Take a look at the side. Crabs in a bucket, Shrimpocalypse. Look at that side in the hot pink alongside the new Blue Rondo Games logo. I am very, very, very proud of what our team has done with this. Opening this with one hand, and look at that. The new rulebook. Check out the interior. You know, we always got to go hard with the interiors, you know. I mean, come on. I mean, you know, it's a Blue Rondo. It's just what we do around here. But we switched to the booklet style rulebooks for the second printing of the base game, which will be available very soon. So we tried to be consistent with that in the rulebook for the expansion as well. We've also got the Discord on the back this time because we want to unite all of the Rondoids across the world. And here are those new cards. I've also inserted my actual base game underneath as well. So this is what your game would look like once you've done that. Here's the artwork for the interior. Look at that. This was done by the character designer for Crabs, Michaela Tubula. She did an absolutely phenomenal job on all of the stuff for this project. The game also comes with a second playmat that's supposed to go on top of the first playmat. It'll become relevant after I explain what some of these new mechanics are, but this is kind of what the arrangement is to look like. This is just a prototype version. The version you'll have will look a little bit nicer than that. Let's get into those new components. The first new components to chat about are the Sea Bunnies. They are a brand new suit. And they are indeed a suit in their own right, the same way that hearts, diamonds, clubs, and spades are. Accordingly, there is one type of sea bunny for each type of regular card. It's not super important, but each of these little sea bunnies have names. This one up here, his name is Aaron, while the one down here, his name is Michael. There's 10 of them in all. The sea bunny suit is special in that not only does it have the ascending run skill, or also the low-high skill in the case of the ace, but it also has the bunny crossing in skill and the bunny crossing out skill. Both of these skills interface directly with the ascending run skill, and I'll explain how momentarily. So as you might know, the bread and butter of Crabs in a Bucket really is the ascending run skill, which is the skill that allows for you to get rid of all cards of higher value than what you just matched, as long as it's the same suit, once you have matched a given card. So after playing a 2 of diamonds, you can ascend into a 5 of diamonds and keep going, and so on. But with bunny crossing in, not only can I start a run in a given suit, you know, start with the 2 of diamonds and then go into the 5 of diamonds, but I can continue my run, if I want to, in sea bunnies. I can go from my 2 of diamonds to my 5 of diamonds into my 7 of sea bunnies. And I can keep going in sea bunnies as much as I want, as long as it's of higher value than what I just matched. But once you cross into sea bunnies, you must stay in sea bunnies. The other skill these sea bunnies have is called bunny crossing out. Bunny crossing out lets you change from sea bunnies to another suit in the middle of a run. So let's say that I started off with matching an ace of sea bunnies, and then I ascended into the 3 of sea bunnies, and then the 4 of sea bunnies. I can then use bunny crossing out to get rid of any card higher than 4 that's any suit. Let's say that theoretically I choose a 6 of hearts. I can keep going in that run into the 7 of hearts and so on. But if I'm using bunny crossing out, once I switch to that other suit, I gotta stay in that other suit. So I must stay in hearts, or if I play a 10, heart spades, for example, that's okay as well. The sea bunnies can easily set up some very powerful situations with the jacks, queens, and kings, which can block jokers. Let's say that we have a 6 of hearts on the field, and then we play a 7 of hearts, and then we use bunny crossing in to also play the 10 of sea bunnies. Now that we are in sea bunnies, I can easily dump a jack of sea bunnies. Look at that cute art. The queen of sea bunnies and the king of sea bunnies blocking jokers. The next new component to discuss are the new joker crabs. There are 10 new ones that we are adding in this expansion, and we'll go over their effects in the coming days as we lead up to the launch of the Kickstarter for the expansion on June 11th. But these are just some of them. The decorator crab is probably my favorite. Never mind, the coconut crab is. We got the pea crab, we got the sand crab, the lightfoot crab, the box crab. So many fun new crabs. It's going to be a lot of fun, especially for experienced players. Oh, and I almost forgot. We've also got the blue lobster, The Blue Lobster's effect is the exact same as the regular Lobster's effect. If you play this card, you'll lose the game. But unlike the regular Lobster, if you happen to have the Blue Lobster in hand alongside the regular Lobster, and you choose to play the Blue Lobster, you get to get rid of the regular Lobster and you force all of your opponents to play with their hands revealed for the rest of the game. Finally, we have the game's namesake, the Four Horsemen of the Shrimpocalypse. So in Crabs in a Bucket Shrimpocalypse, we have an additional playmat that exists above the regular playmat that has each of these four positions for cards to be played in. One for the first horseman, the second horseman, the third horseman, and the fourth horseman. And basically, once you've played all four of these horsemen, the player who has played the fourth horseman wins the game. The Four Horsemen of the Shrimpocalypse are technically classified as jokers. So anytime somebody says do something with a joker, the horsemen are fair game. But unlike the regular jokers and the lobster, whenever these cards are either played or discarded, something happens. And what happens depends on whether or not its predecessors have already been played. In other words, the shrimp have in-sequence effects, meaning effects that trigger if the previous horsemen have already gone into permanent effect, as well as out-of-sequence effects, which refers to effects that trigger if the card is played or discarded and the previous horseman has not already gone into permanent effect. So let's take a look at the first horseman of the Shrimpocalypse, the Fairy Shrimp. The Fairy Shrimp is the very first horseman of the Shrimpocalypse, and therefore it does not have an out-of-sequence effect because no shrimp can be played before this shrimp is played. So its only effect is its in-sequence one, which brings the hand limit down to 7 for the rest of the game and allows for you to instantly play the Mantis Shrimp, which is the second horseman of the Shrimpocalypse, but only if you have it in hand. If you don't have it in hand, instead, everybody must pass a card to the left face down, and we will move on from there. And once this card is played, it gets placed up here and remains there for the rest of the game so that everybody remembers that the Fairy Shrimp is active. So let's talk about the second horseman of the Shrimpocalypse, which is the Mantis Shrimp. It has two effects, an in-sequence effect and an out-of-sequence effect, because you can play it with the Fairy Shrimp there, or you can play it with the Fairy Shrimp not there. If this card is played or discarded and the Fairy Shrimp is already there, you trigger its in-sequence effect, which brings the hand limit down to 5, and then on top of that, if you have the Pistol Shrimp, which is the third horseman of the Shrimpocalypse, you get to instantly play it. If you don't have the Pistol Shrimp, instead, everybody's going to pass 2 cards to the left, face down. Now let's say that the Mantis Shrimp is played or discarded out of sequence, meaning there's no Fairy Shrimp in the first horseman slot. If that is the case, instead of all of those cool things happening, what happens here is you have to draw 2 cards and this gets shuffled back into the deck. Kind of like a little mini lobster, not a great effect. Now let's talk about the third horseman of the Shrimpocalypse, the Pistol Shrimp. So this one, similar deal to the Mantis Shrimp in that it's got in-sequence and out-of-sequence effects. If this card is played in sequence, meaning the Fairy Shrimp has been played and the Mantis Shrimp has been played and they've both gone into permanent effect, then the hand limit is reduced to 3 cards and you may instantly play the Sexy Shrimp if you have it in hand, which would win you the game. But if you don't have the Sexy Shrimp in hand, that's okay. Instead, what happens is all players must give 3 cards to the player to their left, face down. Let's talk next about the out-of-sequence effect for the Pistol Shrimp. If you play this card and there is nothing preceding it, or there is only the Fairy Shrimp preceding it, then you get the out-of-sequence effect, which makes it so that the next opponent is able to take an additional turn, and then on top of that, you have to shuffle this card back into the deck. Lastly, we've got the fourth horseman of the Shrimpocalypse, the Sexy Shrimp. This is a real shrimp. That is its real name. Look it up, or maybe look it up with Safe Search, or maybe just look up Thor Embionesis. But anyway, its in-sequence effect is that if you play this card after the Fairy Shrimp, the Mantis Shrimp, and the Pistol Shrimp have gone into permanent effect, you win the game. But if instead the Sexy Shrimp is played out of sequence, meaning you try to play it here, but there is no third horseman of the Shrimpocalypse, or maybe there is only the first horseman of the Shrimpocalypse, or maybe you got absolutely nothing, then instead you lose your next turn and you got to shuffle the Sexy Shrimp back into the deck. And if that's hard to remember, we have those rules on the back of this rule card here. For the first horseman, second horseman, third horseman, and fourth horseman. If you made it this far, thank you so much for checking out Crabs in a Bucket Shrimpocalypse. It's going to be hitting Kickstarter on June 11th. Please hit notify me upon launch using the link in the bio. Thank you.